Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Just when you thought it was safe, Big Chris Sutton's had a bit of a dig at Brendan Rodgers and Celtic. The way that they played and the team, more to the point, the team for the Feyenoord game. And then we're going to talk about the predicted 11 after that. Big Chris Sutton says, look, the team against Feyenoord hadn't played once as a unit. That'd frustrate any manager. You need to get time as a group of players to get flown. Listen, you cannot legislate for injuries. Yes, we all know that. We can't legislate for injuries. You cannot predict losing your first choice centre-back, Cameron Carter-Vickers. You bring in Rocky, he's injured, or Leo Labada, they're all injured. But you have to deal with the injuries that are there. But there are some things that you can anticipate, said Big Chris Sutton. He said at the time, you've got to remember, he was very vocal about this, Carl Starfelt should not have been sold when he was sold. Why wasn't he sold the last week of the window? He said at the time, Carl Starfelt, look, he says, with Cameron Carter-Vickers just returning from surgery, we forced Gustav to be rushed in to the fray without any experience. You know, we saw how that worked out in Rotterdam. It didn't. We should have edged these players into the team, Chris Sutton says. He said, Celtic knew at the beginning of May when they clinched the title that the group stages began in September. They did absolutely nothing in the transfer market until later on. And he says it's criminal. It's criminal what they did. As soon as Jota headed to Saudi Arabia at the start of July, there should have been an opening doors. It should have been the opening doors for the Celtic's transfer policy, but it didn't. It's the guys that were always going to be brought in, Lewis Palmer, etc. He says they should have been signed way before the final week of the window. You know, Palmer started in Holland, and that's not a recipe for success. The guy had just been in the door 2 minutes. He hadn't had a pre-season with the team. He hadn't had anything with the team. And that kind of shown in Feyenoord, which was disappointing for us. He said, after the Celtic transfer activities, we now have a bloated squad of players, which are mostly new recruits. You know, on 4 or 5 year contracts. It's unbelievable that Celtic have went down this road and getting in so many people this season when it wasn't really needed. We needed to bring in some quality. He said it's well known that Kwon and Tilio are not being used in the Champions League squad, and Bernabe and Yoka Kobayashi both signed in the last 15 months and have failed to make the Champions League squad. What does that say about these players? Are these players actually going to get a game on a week-to-week basis? Because let's face it, they're absolutely no use to Celtic in the Champions League. So what use are they during the week? Getting game time is only taking up valuable game time for players that will play in the Champions League. He said, in January, Rodgers needs experience and quality to boost the squad. Equal priority will be trimming the squad down to a workable group of 22 to 25 players, says Chris Sutton. He says, look, we've already got Scales in, and over the course of the last month, Scales has been absolutely fantastic. Currently in the squad, you have Ideguchi. No, you don't. Currently, you have Ideguchi, Haksabanovic, Lawwell, Montgomery, all out on loan. Ben Summers out on loan, so is McPherson, and so is young Toby and young Matthew Anderson are development players. Say, why have you got these players out on loan? If they're good enough to play football in a first team, Celtic should not be buying in players. And this is something that I have been talking about over the last couple of weeks also. But today is all about Livingston away and that plastic pitch. Are Celtic about to play some of the new signings today against David Martindale's side? He'll be right up for it, of course, because we know that he's one of them. Look, Dutch courage wasn't there during the week. Rodgers knows that this game is of paramount importance to keep the league and keep us in front at the top of the league. Look, a 2-0 defeat to Feyenoord wasn't as bad as what it sounded. You know, 2-0, if you'd said 2-0 before the game, you'd have probably taken it, considering they had scored 17 goals in the last 3 games, going down to 9 men. That won't happen today. Look, Celtic need to absolutely frustrate David Martindale's Livingston today, especially on that plastic pitch. The only good thing about it is Celtic will have a big travelling away support. You know, there's no traditional League Cup game midweek that we're going to be playing for because, let's face it, we're out the Cup. So we've got a couple of midweeks coming up that will benefit the squad. Ange Postecoglou and both Neil Lennon have all dropped points at Livingston. Celtic need to make sure that they don't. Celtic face injury sweat over Nat Phillips, who missed the Feyenoord game after rolling his ankle. Another one. Does he risk him on that plastic pitch? That's one thing you need to think about. You know, it's bad enough the players are getting over the game on Tuesday. With Cameron Carter-Vickers still out, Rocky still out, Leo Labada out, Mikey Johnson and Marco Tillo are back in the fray, but will they be on that plastic pitch? That's one thing that we need to think about with the game today. Tell me what you were thinking about the score line will be. I've no idea what the score line is going to be today, because let's face it, our predictions have been completely wrong the past couple of weeks. When you look at the team, I think the team will be Hart, Taylor, Scales, Gustav, Johnson, and that's the dog dropping a golf ball. I think Bernardo will play in midfield, O'Reilly, McGregor, and then I think it might be Palma and Yang might get the nod before Dyson today, and then Kyogo up front. But then again, I could be completely wrong. The goal, you know, you could have you're definitely going to have Alistair Johnson, Taylor, and Scales, and then it just depends if Gustav is the one that gets the nod for the back or not. Midfield, you're definitely going to have Callum McGregor and Matt O'Reilly. That's going to be a definite pair, and then it's just going to depend on the wingers. Will you bring Bernardo in? Paulo, did he do enough for you? He still needs game time. These players all need game time. It's unbelievable that we're this far into the season and we need players that actually need game time on the pitch. And you know, it's just one of those things, but we need to deal with it. It is going to be a difficult enough game today. I am going down to the pub, and there will be a video straight after the game today from the pub, whether we go live from the pub or whether we just go and get a video. So make sure that you check it out. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, if you're going to the game, and have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up, roll up.